Okay, well, welcome everyone to the Friday noon Park Cities Rotary Club meeting. We're glad you all have joined us, and hopefully as we record this and it's available on our YouTube channel, we'll have some guests watching us as well. And if that's the case, I encourage you to go to our website, parkcitiesrotary.org. Take a look at what we are and who we are. We have lots of volunteer opportunities once we can ramp up again. There's an info tab along the top. You can learn a little bit about the history of our club and some of our many, many volunteer opportunities. So I would like to, at this point, get this meeting started. That's a good sound on a Friday at noon. We're going to kick off today's meeting with Fred Brown giving us the invocation. And then following Fred will be Mary McMahon telling us a little bit about this week's Marketplace Advertiser. And after that, we'll have a new member speech from Holly Hollenbeck.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of you out there, even if it is on the Zoom and virtual basis. Before we have our prayer today, I'd like to share a couple of concerns that have been made aware of. One of them is that Lori Aldridge's brother-in-law passed away a couple of weeks ago, so we want to remember Lori and her family during this time. And we also had a note from Jack Mark's wife, Susie. Jack was a member of our club in 1985 through 1987, and then again in 2001 and through 2011. But Jack passed away on August the 20th, so we want to remember him as a member of our club and also his family as they go through this time. In the future, if you have joys or concerns, please let Lori or Barb know so that we can share those concerns with everyone, whether it be by Zoom or just through emails or whatever, so please do that. So now if you would bow your head and join me in a prayer, I would appreciate it. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we are thankful for this day that you have given us, for its blessings, its opportunities, its challenges. May we appreciate and use each and every day. During this stressful pandemic time, we pray for strength and guidance for each day as it comes, for each day's duties, for each day's problems. May we as Rotarians be challenged to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence with us. Today, we ask special prayers for the following. For the sick and infected, God heal and help and sustain bodies and spirits. For local, state, and federal governments, God help our elected officials as they allocate the necessary resources to combat this pandemic. For our scientific and research community, God give them knowledge and wisdom to find a cure for this disease. For the media, God help them communicate with appropriate seriousness without causing panic. For our frontline healthcare workers, God keep them safe and healthy and able to diagnose and treat this disease. All these things we pray in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
And now if you'd place your right hand over your heart and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon, Park Cities Rotary. Please join me and thank Tanya Boughton for being our Park Cities Marketplace advertiser for this week. Tanya Noel Boughton is with Brent Cooper State Farm. This is Tanya's 7th year in our Rotary and her 6th year as Jerry Washam's partner in Chime as co-chair for the UP tree lighting. We hope it's not canceled this year due to COVID-19. Among other things, Tanya helps with marketing for Brent Cooper State Farm, one of the few agencies actually decreasing their insurance rates, even after last year's tornadoes. Brent has been an agent here in Dallas, Texas since 1987, and his wife Liz Cooper is one of Tanya's best friends. Brent and Liz have been married for 32 years and have 2 sons, both graduates of the Highland Park school system. Brent is a graduate from Florida State University Business School. His agency has qualified for numerous awards over the years, including the State Farm Chairman's Circle, State Farm President's Club, and the $1 Million Roundtable. The Coopers support numerous public and private Dallas and Highland Park schools, as well as the Park Cities and the North Dallas YMCAs and our own Park Cities Rotary. In the office, the team enjoys assisting resident relocations to the Dallas, Texas area, focusing on auto insurance, homeowners, renters, life insurance, and business insurance throughout Dallas and the surrounding Texas areas with competitive pricing and unparalleled service. Please feel free to call or stop by the office in Preston Center for a free car or home insurance quote at any time. They're just down from Sevy's. When ensuring what's most important to you, it's even more important that you know your agent, Brent Cooper State Farm. I just want to make a couple of notes here. Tanya, I was membership chair when Tanya was looking for a Rotary Club. That 7 years ago. It's been such an honor to have Tanya as a Park Cities Rotarian. I'm about to choke up with tears there. And also insurance changes. If you haven't done a review of your insurance, definitely contact Tanya and Brent Cooper State Farm to reevaluate your insurance needs. Thank you.
We are so excited to have a transplant to Dallas from Omaha, and that's Holly Hollenbeck. Holly, we'd love to hear a little bit about your story.
Okay, thank you. It's awkward to just sit and talk about my experience and my family, so I'm just going to read you my bio because that kind of covers it all really concisely. So yes, I just moved here. I was hired by Turner Construction, our nation's largest construction company. They transferred me down here. They were actually a client of mine through Facebook in the Omaha area. And I've been in Dallas since December 27th. So I am an attorney. I've been a member of the Nebraska Bar Association for 25 years. For the last 10 years though, when in Omaha, I was the director of a business called WorkFit. We did medical legal consulting and occupational medicine. So I had clients in all areas in all types of industries that were needing to deal with and prevent work comp or deal with injuries once they occurred. So that's my area of expertise, is basically workers' compensation and safety and health in the workplace. I am an internationally published author as well, so a little sidebar there. I've been published in 4 countries, Italy, the US, Great Britain, and the United States. It was a flash in the pan book in 2006. And I've also published 18 articles in health and safety and workers' comp, mainly in the National Safety Council's journal. I was on the board of the Nebraska Claims Association for nearly 7 years. I was their president and held all the officer positions while I was there. That's basically my business. I do also have a side business and a website called Attitude Authority. It's become more of a hobby than really a business, but it's basically speaking on improving productivity and health and safety in the workplace. So I get hired out as a consultant to do that on a side job sometimes. So I'm originally from St. Louis, born and raised there. Both my parents are deceased, and my 2 sisters still live in St. Louis. I have one disabled sister who lives in a home there, and my other big sister lives nearby. I did go to high school in the Kansas City area, and then I went to college in Omaha at Creighton University. Graduated with my Juris Doctorate at the age of 23. So I was a little bit of a gunner at a young age, but I should have stopped and smelled the roses. I encourage both my children to do that, although my daughter has followed in my footsteps. She just graduated from NYU, lives in Manhattan, works 12, 14-hour days now, now that she's out of college, but doing very well. She went to Stern School of Business. She was a college swimmer. My son just started college at University of Nebraska just a few weeks ago. I moved him into his fraternity house. So I'm an empty nester now. I just have my dog Tuco, who is half pug, half Boston Terrier, and the cutest dog ever. So if you hear him barking in the background, that's what's going on there. What else? Let's see. I did, after the birth of my son in 2002, I did stay home full time with my kids for a while, which I think benefited them greatly. But while I was home, that's when I wrote my book and was published. I actually appeared for my book on, this is my 2-second claim to fame, hot flash in the pan claim to fame. I was on the Today Show, I was on Fox News promoting my book. I did quite a few national radio and local television in the promotion of my book, basically set up all by the publishing house, which was Time Warner Book Group and Random House in the UK and Canada. So that was my little fun time back then while I was home with kids. And then for fun, I like to travel. I've been to 29 countries so far, mostly in the Caribbean and Europe. So missing that, I had a couple of trips this year get canceled because of COVID. So I'm really bummed about that, but looking forward to traveling again. I consider myself a gym rat and a social networker. And occasionally I actually paint and support the arts in the community and interested in that as well. But my biggest passion has always been, or at least for the last 8 years, my actions and commitment to Rotary. I was in a club in Omaha, one of 10 clubs in the Omaha area. It had 200 members, very active club. And I was honored by them as Rotarian of the Year in 2018, 2019. Maybe it was 2017, 2018, but that was something I wish my parents could have been there, because my father was also very active in community service and he would have been very proud. So I wished he had been there, but that was my other big claim to fame in life, was being voted Rotarian of the Year. And that was primarily, I think, because of my commitment to community service. And I had started up a project, a foot care clinic for the homeless in the Omaha area, where we had nursing students actually wash, almost in a biblical way, wash the feet of the homeless, do foot exams, diabetes checks, flu shots, and then we gave them a free pair of shoes and socks and a little foot care package, with clippers and everything. So every time they tied their shoes, we kind of hoped that maybe they had a little bit of hope that somebody cared about them. And given that it's their main mode of transportation and the really shoddy footwear I would see them in when they would come to the homeless shelters for meals, I thought there was something I could do about it. And thanks to Rotary, I was able to get that committee put together and get funding from the district level to buy the shoes and the socks. So that was my big claim to fame, and probably why they voted me Rotarian of the Year. But it was a huge honor for me and something I am very, very proud of. I hope to get very involved in your all's community service projects and make a difference. I'm looking forward to an opportunity to do that. And if things are starting up again, please call me. I signed up for every single community service project we have in this club. So I'm waiting to hear from y'all to be put to work. So please do. Thanks. That's it. Was that 3 minutes? I hope I didn't go over.
Holly, that was spot on. That was great.
Okay.
Well, now I'm dying. What is the name of your book?
Oh, the one that was published? Well, the one I'm working on right now is called Stray Dogs. The one that was published, I'm going to leave you to Google it because it sounds risque, but it's not. It was endorsed by Good Housekeeping and Library Journal. Can I just say that?
Okay.
It was given a flashy title to sell books. It was called Sex Lives of Wives, if you must know. But it sounds much more risque than it was. It was really very wholesome. Like I said, Good Housekeeping endorsed it. Today's Show had me on. It was about, enriching passion in marriages and keeping marriages alive. So that's really what the theme was. So it was right at the tail end of my marriage as my marriage was falling apart. So it was my last ditch effort. So I think it helped people, and that's all that matters. If it helped one marriage stay together, then I feel good about it.
There you go. We look forward to your second book, which sounds like you're working on that.
Eternally working on it.
Good. Well, thank you. And I know everyone enjoyed hearing your story, and we look forward to the opportunity to meet you in person. I believe as you, Holly has immediately jumped in with Zach Davis, and they are doing the PCR Connect functions. We did not have one in August, but we've got one coming up in September. So you can find information on the website for that. So I'm going to do real quick announcements. I know that you would much rather hear from our guest speaker today, but just to let you know, as you know, the month of September will continue virtual. We will decide on September 21st about the month of October. So if you have strong feelings, let us know. You've got lots of great board members out there that would love to visit with you, or you can give me a call or shoot me an email. We have a very exciting event coming up. There are 3 dates to tour the Holocaust Museum. We heard from Mary Pat a few weeks ago, and she did a wonderful program. She has agreed to be our personal docent. There will only be 10 slots available for each of those 3 days. The times vary. The dates are on the screen here, the 16th, the 23rd, or the 24th. So I strongly suggest you jump on the website and secure a spot to be able to walk through the museum with only 10 in the group. With her as our expert docent would be a great opportunity. And thank you very much to Janie Lovelace for working on that and making that happen, and for Happy getting the information on the website. Then speaking of Happy, she'll be on the set here in a minute, but I want to she is looking at as our activities, socials, the chair of that committee. She's looking at some things to do for the month of October and November. And then of course we'll have our holiday party in December somehow, somewhere, some way. But she's looking at outdoor venues where we can all join, stay socially distanced, and get to see each other in our lovely Rotary masks, thanks to Richard. So my last thing, we've got our newest member on the call today. It's Joe. He's right there with his lovely wife, Mary. So if we could get away from Joe, we look forward to hearing from you, Joe, when it's your turn to do your new member speech, and we can hear all about your story. We're glad you're here, and thank you for joining us. Well, at this point, I am going to leave the set and turn it over to Happy, and she will be here with Trisha.
Okay. I'm thrilled to introduce Trisha Cunningham. She's the president and CEO of the North Texas Food Bank, a $200 million nonprofit focused on eradicating hunger in a diverse 13-county service area. It's estimated that nearly 900,000 in this area do not know where they will find their next healthy meal. Through direct and feeding partner programs, Trisha and her team of 180 employees and thousands of volunteers provide access to 97 million meals in their most current fiscal year. This was 20 million meals more than their prior year, and it exceeded their 2025 goal, yes, 2025 goal of 92 million meals 5 years ahead of schedule. Prior to North Texas Food Bank, Trisha was the Chief Citizenship Officer at Texas Instruments, a global semiconductor company operating in more than 35 countries. She serves as the director for Feeding Texas, Girl Scouts of North Texas, and International Women's Forum Dallas chapter. Trisha was named as the Dallas Business Journal's 2020 Women in Business honoree, DCEO's Dallas 500 Most Influential Business Leaders in 2019 and 2020, the Junior League of Collin County's 2019 Nonprofit Executive of the Year, Plano Magazine's 2019 Girl Boss, I think that's fun, and Leadership Women Director Emeritus. So lots of honors. Trisha and her husband Greg have 2 grown children, and they reside in Fairview, Texas, and Collin County. I am so thrilled that she is going to tell us more about the North Texas Food Bank today.
And Happy, I can't believe you didn't mention that my kids are both Red Raiders.
Yes, I'm so excited about that. Obviously, very smart young people. I already like them very much. So while the Rotary Club of Park Cities is a huge supporter of the North Texas Food Bank, there may be some new members that don't know much about the food bank. So please tell us more about what y'all do.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for being here. And I'm really excited to be able to share with you. I know some of you do know about what we do here at the North Texas Food Bank, but I know this may be new for some of you as well if you haven't had that experience, because I'm glad to know that we have a lot of new members that have come on board since the last time I had spoken to the club. So anyway, first of all, thanks so much for your support. I'm going to share at the very end a little bit about the impact of the Rotary Club of Park Cities, because we certainly appreciate all the support that the Rotary Club has provided to the North Texas Food Bank. And I want you to know that your impact has been immeasurable, especially during this pandemic time as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I know some of you have been to our campus in Plano, but on the slide that has sort of the big X out front of it, some of you may or may not have been up there. And some of you may not know the difference between a food bank and a food pantry. So we actually, I call us a nonprofit logistics company. I think what we do is really we gather food from many different sources, and then we're able to distribute it out through a network of feeding partners, which have food pantries or other feeding programs. And about 80% of our food goes out that way. And then we have direct programs as well. But what's really inspirational to me is every day whenever I come to the Perot family campus, I see this big X. This is a sculpture by local artist Brad Oldham. You've probably seen some of his other sculptures around in the community as well, the bird and the walking man and the guitar man. But he designed this particularly for this campus, and it's called Lulu May's Mark. And Lulu May was the mother of Ross Perot Sr., and who was one of the original board members for the North Texas Food Bank. And some of you may know the story about the X on your curb back in the Great Depression. It meant that you were going to be able to help feed passersby if they needed food. You would just go to the back door and the person there was willing to be able to provide meals for you. And I really think about that moment in time. And then I think about this moment in time where we are right now and think about the same thing. And we are just honored to have that X on our curb so that people know that we're there to be able to support the needs in our community now whenever they need it most.
I love that. The past few months have not been business as usual. So tell us more about what the food bank has done to respond to the economic crisis, and what's the first thing you realized you had to change?
Okay, well, let me talk a little bit more about who we are at the food bank, and then I'll certainly be able to address those in the next few slides as well. So we do serve 13 counties, as you can see on the slide, 1982. So we're coming up on our 40th anniversary. We are you've probably heard about Feeding America. They've had a lot of things going on at the national level. We are one of 200 food banks that are part of that network. And then we have a network of food banks in Texas called Feeding Texas as well. I actually need to update this with our new information. 95 cents of every dollar given to the North Texas Food Bank, we're able to put that directly into feeding programs. Every dollar provided to the food banks actually provides more than 3 meals. So, it's a great ROI overall for us as well. And so to get to your question, particularly on the next slide, we talk about, what really happened and what really changed whenever this pandemic hit. The first thing that really happened was we had to change our business model. We had to shift things probably 180 degrees, and it meant higher labor because we were going to have to kit food, put it in boxes to be able to get it out to people safely. Normally, we would take pallets of food to our partner agencies, and they would have a very much shopping experience. Whether it was a mobile pantry or a partner agency, they would be able to shop for their food, just like you would at a grocery store. But that wasn't going to be safe. Most of these pantries are very small. They have large crowds, and social distancing wasn't going to be an option. So everyone had to shift to this drive-through model of distribution. But we had very early on, we had volunteers that were wanting to come and volunteer, but their companies basically met them at the door and said, you can't volunteer. It's our policy now at the company that we're not going to have you gather into large gatherings. And even though we put protocols in place with the CDC, and we totally understand that. Number one, we wanted to protect everyone's safety overall. So then as we had that coming up, we had an innovative initiative with the Communities Foundation of Texas and a technology company called Get Shift Done and the North Texas Food Bank, where we were able to hire unemployed hospitality industry workers through a fund at the Communities Foundation, and they sent them to the North Texas Food Bank, and then expanded to other nonprofits regionally, and then now it's expanded nationwide for them to be able to provide service into the community and get paid for it. So it's a nice win-win-win is sort of how I look at it. So we did that initially, but the needs continued to rise. And so we wanted to exhaust every resource that we could for our community, and other states had been able to successfully receive National Guard support. So we applied for that, and we were able to get National Guard support. We received a notice on April 1st that our request had been approved. It had been in about a week and a half. And literally 2 days later, we had all the leaders of the platoon on site. We were doing training for them on a Saturday. And then that Monday, it was a sight that I never thought that I would see. We had all of these platoons in formation. I got there about 6:30 that morning. They were forming on our parking lot. And to be able to know that we had National Guard support to be able to help us with the skyrocketing needs of this pandemic was just a little bit of a surreal moment that I will never forget. But they were instrumental in helping us for quite a while. The last guard left us in the middle of July. They were gone for a couple of weeks. They got pulled out and to help with the riots in the Dallas and trying to keep peace in the area. But then we got part of them back for another month after that. But they were instrumental in helping us to be able to move forward overall. We kitted. We had to do a lot of things to kit this food. It was very high labor. It's still very high labor, a lot more of expense because we had to have all these boxes to be able to get out more of this food, but it was really instrumental. So now we're back after the Guard is gone, back to the Get Shift Done model. We also have volunteers that we've been piloting on Friday and Saturday. For those of you that feel safe and comfortable, we ask you to wear your mask, but you can sign up online. We do have volunteer shifts. And then even at our mobile distributions, my husband today was out at Lone Star Park in Grand Prairie, and he was helping to volunteer out there. That's one of our larger distributions as well. So, feel free if you want to get out of the house and be safe in an environment to be able to give back. We are welcoming volunteers on a few days a month as well too, but those are all listed on our website. So, a lot going on.
I know that the meals you've been provided have increased greatly because of the skyrocketing needs. Is that sustainable? Is that something y'all are going to be able to continue doing?
It's been amazing. And I know you mentioned in the intro how we really got to 97 million meals this year. It was our goal to try to get to about 85 million before this pandemic hit. But, our partner agencies, very few of them closed. So they wanted to make sure that they were on the front lines of being able to meet the needs. Our donors and our community stepped up to make sure that we had resources to be able to meet the needs. And because of all of that, we basically doubled our distribution output in a matter of weeks. And because of these additional resources, we were able to exceed our 92 million meal goal that we had set for 2025, 5 years early. And so a huge thank you to all of you who really helped make that possible, because I know a lot of you individually contributed, the club has contributed. I can tell you the mobile pantry unit that the club has been put to very good use during the pandemic as well. Just a few stats though on what's really happening out in the community overall. We ask our agencies and we poll them on an ongoing basis to try to figure out, what's really happening out there. And they're reporting about 40% now, things have settled down, about 40% on average are people that have never had to have assistance before. So these are first timers into some of these food pantries. And we like to refer them to the food pantries because they can also help them with some of the surround service needs that they have. They may need help with utilities or medicine or some other things that they may need. And these partner agencies that are part of our feeding network can help do that as well too. They've seen overall, even those that they had been serving, overall, they've seen additional needs, about 70 to 80% increase year on year overall. In some pantries in high need areas, they've seen as much as a 9x increase in the number of people that they're serving. So it's really, really crazy. And we've tried to do everything we can to be able to support them too. We've gotten grants through Feeding America that we've basically turned around and given to our partner agencies so that way they can sustain their service in their community as well.
Where does the food come from?
Oh, goodness. It comes from all different places. It's right now we are getting a lot of support from the government. And we have had bipartisan support. We get money from FEMA, we get money from, and food from the USDA. Our retailers are, it slacked off a little bit up front, but now it has continued to try to make sure that we can maintain some level with the retailers that have excess food in the community as well. But really a lot of support from the government overall has really helped us. But, we really could not handle the volume that we have if it weren't for our partner agencies. They've really helped us overall. And a lot of the food that you're seeing here, at our mobile distributions on the next slide, you can see those lines and lines and lines of cars that have come up. And if you've seen, much of the news about what's been happening in the pandemic, I mean, really, Fair Park has been one of our largest distributions, but we felt like we had to do something to help our partners get the food out to those that needed, especially those that were first timers as well. And so this is one of our mobile pantry distributions. And so that mobile pantry truck goes out there and it has more of the refrigerated, but we take semi loads. So our last distribution at Fair Park, we had about 4 semi truckloads out there. And normally these mobile pantries, as you know, we've done them at Agape Clinic, you would have 200 to 300 families that you would serve at one of those. Now with some of the mobile distributions that we're doing during the pandemic, we're seeing 2,000 families come through. So it's been huge to be able to do that, but it's helping our partner agencies, and we partner with them so that way they know for future needs, they can try to go to some of those partners that are in their community as well.
Awesome. So the needs are really high, and I love it that y'all are supporting the food needs at the Agape Clinic area and the Bonton Farms community area, our RCPC focus projects. Do you have any idea what the needs are there and how long you're going to have to serve at that level?
Yeah, it's been really crazy. We really, right now, it's who knew that this was going to happen? Who knew all these skyrocketing needs were going to be coming up? And quite honestly, whenever I talked to my board, one of the things that I pictured the first time I spoke to them and talked about sort of what we're seeing with COVID, I had a magic 8 ball on the screen. I've now moved it to a cloudy crystal ball because I think we're starting to see some things, but there's still so much uncertainty that's out there. Pre-pandemic data would show that we had actually made a lot of progress in food insecurity here in our community. And we had actually seen things sort of reduced to a lower level. But now with COVID and that next layer of needs that are on top of that, we're at levels that we've never seen before, even greater than the 2008 recession. And so we're going to be at that level. And we've been told to be prepared for at least about 2 years of service, because even when people start getting back to work, there have been so much unemployment, so many businesses that have closed. You just heard this week, I think it was American Airlines that talked about additional furloughs that they're doing. Anticipation is that after the first of the year, you will continue to see other businesses that are going to have to let people go. They've been able to make it through with some of the government support, but you're going to see more businesses start unemployment. So we actually don't think the full need has really peaked yet overall. And we've seen probably July, August, and even going into September, we've been pretty steady with about double the amount of needs that we've had, at least 80% to double amount overall. And you can see on the slide that we had shown there that child food insecurity in Texas is projected to be the highest in the nation. And then the 13 counties that we serve, our 13 counties versus the other, 199 food banks, are 5th highest in the country. And then overall food insecurity is actually 9th in the country. It says 5th for both, but actually overall we're 9th in the country for food insecurity. So you just know the needs are great here. And we're going to try to continue to do everything we can as long as we can to make sure that people have access to food on their tables as well. Let me go ahead and talk a little bit about sort of some of the other things that we're seeing too. I told you a little bit about us focusing on the needs, and we don't have a clear picture of what the demand is going to be going on. Our volunteer base is still not stable. We don't believe we can shift to a full volunteer model yet because people just aren't wanting to come back. They're not comfortable coming back. And even though we have sort of spread out our volunteer shifts, you're still going to have interaction with people with masks on. You get your temperature checked, you answer the COVID screenings and things, but we understand that that's still a concern for people overall. But I will say something, I talked a little bit about the government resources earlier. we could not have responded to this pandemic the way we have without the government resources. FEMA provided access to dollars for us to purchase food. We are in another cycle with FEMA right now to do that. They provided some pre-kitted boxes of produce and dairy and meat that we're able to do through some of these mobile distributions and get them out to some of our partners as well. But overall, what I'm most proud of, and you're not going to see it in the next coming months prior to the presidential election, but I can tell you, it doesn't matter whether you're red, blue, purple, or anything in between. None of our elected officials wanted people to go hungry in their districts. Right. And unprecedented bipartisan support. Community. We have letters that have been signed by our congressmen and women, our local state officials, to try to make sure that we can support the needs in their community overall, which has been very refreshing for me. And you know, this whole area, I'll go on to the next slide here, my whole faith in our community and sort of humankind has actually been lifted and restored. It's been a lot of hard work. I'm not going to lie, it's exhausting. And our team is exhausted, but it's things that the elderly woman who sends in her stimulus check because she said, I'm able to make it on my fixed income, but I want to help someone else. You know, we see these all the time. We've seen people who have supported the food bank, even though they've received assistance. They may have received assistance and they got an additional windfall of funds, and they went and bought groceries and brought them to the food bank. A woman named Elisa Mesquite did just that, to be able to try to make sure that she could try to give back as well too. So, you know, I also just want to say thank you to all of you as well. You know, this is the last slide I'll show. For those of you that don't know, this is the mobile pantry truck that the Rotary Club of Park Cities helped us to be able to purchase. This now is one of 3 in our fleet. We have 2 others with Catholic Charities of Dallas. You all helped prove this model, and we were able to show that it was successful. And we were able to use this to be able to go out to some of those places that did not have access to food. But these have been instrumental tools in us being able to meet the needs of our pandemic overall. So Rotary Club of Park City, since our partnership that started in 2012, has volunteered over 1,300 hours and has provided over 2.1 million meals. So I think that is great service for the Rotary Club, and I'm a proud Rotarian as a result of that. And I love to be able to talk about this because I do get the opportunity to go and talk to other clubs, and I might have, you know, definitely said, so what are you going to do to step it up, step it up like Rotary Club of Park Cities to be able to help make sure that they can do that. You know, you guys raised $189,000 to be able to help us to support that. And I know right now the Bonton Initiative is one that we're raising money for as well. I've been happy to participate in that because I know that whenever this club makes a decision and focuses on something, you're going to make an impact. And so that's one of the great things I think about this Rotary Club as well. So I just want to say thank you so much to the Rotary Club. And I know that you've already put in your budget to be able to support the contribution to the North Texas Food Bank as a result of the 4th of July parade next year. Right. And we're extremely grateful for that as well.
Well, we are so thrilled that you chose our club. Y'all are in Plano, so you could have easily chosen one of the Plano clubs. So we're really thrilled that you're in the Rotary Club of Park Cities. And my next question is about Restaurant Week. So Restaurant Week starts today. So how does that benefit the North Texas Food Bank?
Yes, so please, just because we're in a pandemic and we're not able, you may not be comfortable feeling like you can go out and dine. Many of the restaurants, DFW Restaurant Week, have a takeout option. And we are actually having less of a percentage that comes to the North Texas Food Bank this year because we know the restaurants that have supported us for so many years are hurting as well. So we get 10%. We normally would get 20% of the Restaurant Week menu. You have to order off the Restaurant Week menu. If you take out, some of them have other options as well. So you just might want to call ahead to see if it benefits Restaurant Week. But if you dine in, you have to use the Restaurant Week menu. But there are many of them. You go to dfwrestaurantweek.com and you can see all the wonderful restaurants. I told Happy before we got started today, my executive team, we would go out to eat at least one evening together. But we're going to order out, and we've already made a selection of a few restaurants that we're considering, and we're going to place our order, pick it up, and we're going to socially distance at the food bank. And so we're going to have our fine dining experience at the food bank in one of our conference rooms one evening, just so that way we can continue to be able to support this. And I certainly have takeout planned for a few options, and then hopefully my family can do that as well. So please continue to support Restaurant Week.
So what kind of foods are helpful to be donated right now? Everything or?
So really right now, I will tell you the main thing that we need right now, funds, sort of virtual food drives are great options at this point in time, because everything, whenever we put in that kitted box, we want to make sure that it's a very similar. So we have a nutritionist on staff, and they make sure that what we have in that kitted box is going to be nutritionally balanced. So we're trying to make sure that we have consistent products. So it's not just a mishmash. It really does have science and nutrition behind it. So that's number one, a great thing to do. But we always need canned vegetables that are low in sodium, particularly. We need fruit in its own juice. We need canned meats are always good. And then peanut butter. You know, Hunger Action is coming up in September, and we do a big push on peanut butter during September in particular, just because that is a nice shelf-stable, high-protein food. Kids love it. We typically put that in our kids' backpacks so they can get a jar of peanut butter, one of the 16-ounce jars of peanut butter with their things in the backpacks. And we are seeing many school districts now up the need for the backpack, because I know that many of the students in their district have needs even greater than they ever have before.
So actual produce is good?
You cannot donate produce.
Okay.
You can't donate produce. We get produce donated directly through food manufacturers or food growers, but it has to be shelf-stable items, and no bread or anything that could have been opened or tampered with. We can't take that. It's just safety concerns overall, because we don't know what that food chain is. But anything that's contained in a can or a box that's shelf-stable, we can take.
So fruit in a can, vegetables in a can, peanut butter.
Yeah, cereal.
Okay.
Anything like that that's nutritious. We focus on nutritious food. Over 92% of everything that we distributed last year was nutritious, and about 44% was a fruit or vegetable.
Yeah, so maybe we could organize a virtual food tour. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Food drive.
Yeah.
Excellent. And you still need volunteers?
We do still need volunteers, especially if you look online. We have the mobile distributions. I mean, it's hard work. I'm not going to lie. It's hard work. I've done it several times myself. When the guard left, we basically were all hands on deck. And so we had to have people out there, because we had guard that was supposed to be there, and we had to fill that, and we didn't want to cancel anything, and we didn't. So our internal team stepped up, and we really rallied with a lot of our folks to try to make sure that we could get people out to do those mobile distributions. But also, like I said, on site, if mobile isn't your thing and not being outside and lifting, I mean, the boxes are probably 25 pounds, putting those into trunks, if that's not your thing, then we do have some volunteer opportunities now on typically Fridays and Saturdays that we've been piloting in August, and we'll probably continue those into September as well. But if you go to ntfb.org/volunteer, that's where you can find all those volunteer opportunities.
Good deal. We'll work on coordinating some of this. I love that. So what other questions do other people have?
Anybody ready to chime in?
And have y'all's hours changed? Y'all are still going in.
Oh yeah, so I mean, we are an essential business, so we haven't stopped. As a matter of fact, my husband will tell you, I was pretty much working 7 days a week as long as it took, and I didn't get to see my family much for probably the first 2 months of the pandemic. We've sort of gotten into a different rhythm right now, but there's a lot. And I mean, and right now we also are taking care of the evacuees that have come up from Hurricane Laura as well. So we've been providing food for 4 shelters and the 2 reception centers. And, in a typical time frame, that would be like a big deal to have to shift our operations. But I tell you, challenges and crisis makes you stronger. And so what we've been dealing with the pandemic, that was like, okay, what do you need? When do you need it? Our team within an hour had pivoted to be able to make sure that we had the disaster supplies that we had on hand, because we do keep disaster supplies on hand for these kind of natural disasters as well. They were able to pivot and get those out to those reception centers. And then today we're getting them out to the shelters as well.
That's great, because I mean, there's no part of your work that can probably be done virtually.
Oh, no, not really. I mean, now a lot of I will tell you, the other thing that we had to do from a pivot standpoint was, if you have been to our new facility, if any of you've been up into the office area, it was built on the very open concept model. And so very quickly after the pandemic hit, anyone in our office administration area that was in that open space, we basically sent them home if they could do their job from home. So we provided them with the IT support. And what we've learned through this as well is that many of our job functions can do very well telecommuting.
Oh, that's fantastic.
They miss people, but I mean, we can do that. So now our office area is open, but we've had to tape off basically every other desk in order to provide a safe environment. We have temperature checks. We have an online app that we have to check in every morning before we come to work to say, is it okay for us to come to work? That basically checks our symptoms every day and reminds us of what the symptoms are. We have, like I said, we do the temperature checks as well as anyone that comes on site. So if you come in to volunteer, you'll have your temperature checked and you'll have to have the CDC guidelines answer those questions as well. So the main thing for us is we have to provide a safe environment. If anyone on our team gets sick, and we have had some people that had tested COVID-19 early on, we haven't had anything in the past several weeks, but all of them contracted it more in a social environment.
Oh, wow.
Not from the food bank. And luckily, many of them were working from home and never came into the office.
Good deal.
Which was great. But we know that if they did, that could actually shut us down, and we would be hurting a lot of people if we had to shut down our operations. So safety is of our utmost importance.
Right. Looks like Tracy Gomes has submitted a question for you. How are you utilizing technology to identify and respond to food needs?
Yeah, so basically, if you think about, I mean, we're a $200 million nonprofit organization. We have a warehouse management system. We have, all accounting systems that are integrated. We have tools for our partner agencies to try to make sure that they're placing their orders. We have an agency express model to make sure that they are ordering food. So we are tracking that. We're trying to see what they do. And so there's more that we can do. If I had an interview a couple of weeks ago and they said, what do you think is going to be the biggest game changer going forward? In technology, being 30 years at a technology company, I love technology, but technology is something that will be very important to us.
So we're running time, but since President Richard asked the next question, I don't want to skip it. How is giving funding going?
Right now, I will tell you that our community has been extremely generous. But just to give you an idea of how much it costs for this pandemic, the value of our response from the middle of March through the end of June was about $26 million, which is a lot. And that's just the COVID layer. That's not our normal operations. So all the value of that food, now a lot of that was funded for the government. About 8 or 9 million of that is what we had to pay cash out of pocket, but it is an expensive operation. So what we're concerned about is the long term, because we know that we have to be prepared for about 2 years. And so we're hoping our giving continues to remain strong through the holiday season and into next year. Projections right now are showing that there could be a reduction going into 2021 for charitable giving. But we're waiting and seeing, and we know our community will step up to help us if we need it.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much. A book is being placed in your honor at Preston Hollow Elementary, and they really need some books. And so we're really grateful to you, and your book is going to be a hit. We are now going to present an award to a fabulous club member. We are presenting the Cleveland G. Clinton Collaborative Award. This was established in 2014. And this is for the 2019-2020 Rotary year. This award is presented to a club member for outstanding leadership in promoting collaborative partnerships with outside agencies and entities. Past recipients include Dawson Orr in 2014, Tanya Boughton in 2016, Karen Ferris in 2017, Orville Salmon in 2018, and Stephanie Bohan in 2019. The purpose of this award is to recognize for outstanding leadership and promoting collaborative partnerships with outside agencies and entities. It honors the leadership of our Cleve Clinton, who served as president of our club in 2013, 2014, and who fostered the concept of collaborative partnerships, which, as you know, is really big in our club. His strategic priority was to enhance club visibility through community partnerships. During his presidency, partnerships were established with the North Texas Food Bank and strengthened with to the Highland Park Independent School District. Because of his enhanced vision and dedication, the club's community reach has been greatly enhanced. I am thrilled and honored to present the Cleveland G. Clinton Collaborative Award to you for the 2019-2020 Rotary year.
Well, thank you so much. And, you know, we were able to see this, I think, on the Club Awards, but I didn't know you were going to actually give it to me in person today. So this is amazing. I will tell you, this is extremely meaningful to me because our team has stepped up like crazy this year. And our core values as an organization are collaboration, compassion, and integrity. And so knowing that this is all about collaboration means a lot to me because it reinforces what we're here for, is to be able to collaborate with our community. So Cleve, thank you. I'm honored to have your name on this, and thank you to the Rotary Club of Park Cities.
Congratulations, so exciting. So please join us for our next meeting on September 4th, right before Labor Day weekend. Paul Hendershot, he's the chief economist with CoStar Group, and he's brought to us by Jeff Sheehan. He's going to be talking to us about the DFW economy, so you're not going to want to miss that. And then on September 11th, we have our district governor meeting, so that'll be a lot of fun, featuring District Governor John Moser. And so now, if you'll join us with the four-way test led by Miss Trisha Cunningham.
All right, the four-way test of the things we think, do. First, is it the truth?
Second.
Fair to all concerned. Third, build better friendship. Fourth,
Will be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you. Hope you have a great weekend.